Newcastle Harbour, an industrial port, is about to be turned into a racetrack. The speedmen like Stefan and Aussie champ Tony Lowe are coming to the second round of the Aussie titles on Sunday, racing an L-shaped course from within Newcastle Harbour, out to sea, then down the coast to Redhead and back 5 times. It's a 200-kilometre trip.
I'll be travelling in excess of speeds of 200 kilometres an hour, sometimes up to 240.
Organisers say they have a 5-year plan, starting with 20 boats this year, possibly an international field down the line. Newcastle's gain has been Port Stephens' loss. The race was initially planned to start and finish in Nelson Bay, but local authorities there knocked it back.
Port Stephens has a view of ecotourism at the moment, and there was a bit of a controversy about these boats going up and down into Port Stephens. So it was an amicable agreement that we moved the race down here to Newcastle.
As the name implies, offshore racing is normally out of sight of spectators. This new concept is predicted to attract tens of thousands of onlookers to the Newcastle Harbour foreshore. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
The Easter Junior Tournament in Foster had been blessed with 3 days of ideal conditions, attracting almost 100 young players from around the state. It was the biggest turnout to date, up by 45 competitors on last year. Organisers say the standard of tennis has also increased.
Particularly in the 16 and the 18-year-old boys, the standard's been very, very high, and we had a round of 32, which is quite big numbers in those 2 age groups.
Top seed Chris Jarrod from Newcastle made short work of Kieran Lorimer in the under-16s, taking out the event 6-2, 6-1. He further asserted his dominance on the court in the under-18s final, defeating local boy Nathan Williams 6-1, 6-2. Foster fared much better in the girls' under-16s, with Cherie Dowles proving too strong for Gloucester's Angela Jenkins, beating her 6-3, 7-6. And in the tournament's youngest division, the under-10s, Tevi Bullock from Lake Macquarie had an easy win over Tuncurry's Abby Bush. Final score 6-2, 6-1. Simone Cobb, NBN News.
He's a player who the fans love to hate, and Shane Heal's treatment of Falcons player Lachlan Armfield won't win him any supporters in Newcastle. Falcons management wasn't prepared to comment on the incident from last Thursday's clash between the Kings and Newcastle. In any event, the NBL can't act on it, as the time to lodge a complaint has expired. Meanwhile, the competition proper gets underway, with the Falcons playing Geelong this Saturday in Geelong.
It's time to stand up and be counted. The Mitsubishi Challenge starts for real.
There are 5 Falcons playing their first NBL game. American import David Van Dyke, 19-year-old Warners Bay rookie Scott McGregor, Matt Moore, Ben Pepper and Matt Lowe.
We'll be seeing some new faces, and obviously at this point they are unknown, and it's an opportunity for them to get known.
The Ironbark Creek Total Catchment Management Strategy was launched today at the Shortland Wetlands Centre. The report is the result of years of community consultation and specialist study, and is designed to help better manage the catchment's natural resources while also providing stable, high-quality water.
The successful management of natural resources requires genuine cooperation and long-term commitment between the community and government in a very close working relationship. And indeed, it's only through that relationship and partnership that we are going to achieve the sorts of results that we want to achieve.
The study recommends the opening of the Ironbark Creek floodgates to reinstate tidal flushing and further encourage fish populations in the estuary. While the issue has previously sparked controversy between local landholders and fishermen, the study says the change would be a gradual process. Other recommendations include new weed and pest control measures and new flood management programs for local residents. Emma Theossian, NBN News.
Across the Central Coast, 18,000 syringes are dispensed every month to intravenous drug users as part of the needle exchange program. They're packaged in these containers called fit packs that include a safety disposal section into which used syringes are pushed. Users are asked to return the packs to special bins for incineration.
We put a lot of resources into providing information for people so they can do the right thing. We have information with the packs that shows people how to dispose of the packs.
But despite the information, this week 3 packs were found lying in a public area. The syringes were found in a park across the street from the Woy Woy Hospital on Wednesday, but all of them were secured within the disposal section of the hard plastic fit pack. While the evidence is that most people involved in the needle exchange program do the right thing, health authorities say it's important no part of the packs are left lying about. The danger of children chancing upon them is obvious.
We don't believe that these things should be left around there. The encouragement we give to people that are using disposal fit packs is that they dispose of them appropriately in bins that are provided.
Laura Saperstein, NBN News. Eerily like a landscape painting themselves, the grounds of Awabba House are an alluring introduction to the homestead. Come inside and you'll find a place redolent with history. As of tomorrow, the walls of the 1920s house will be hung with paintings, but today the only artwork was being done to the house itself.
I reckon we've done all right with what they've done.
I think we'll probably be going late into the night to get it ready for tomorrow.
Awabba House was recently bought by Lake Macquarie Council as a permanent home for the gallery. Fittingly, tomorrow's official opening will draw on local talent with a banner exhibition to launch the new space.
We've asked top artists from the Hunter Valley to contribute banners of a specific size using ancient or medieval symbols that they feel relates to themselves.
The existing gallery housed opposite the Lake Macquarie Council building will also remain until September. Laura Saperstein, NBN News.
At 10 o'clock tomorrow, Morpeth will open its doors to teddy enthusiasts from all over the country. The Teddy Bear Extravaganza features the handcrafted works of 25 artists who've designed the bears especially for the occasion. 20 of the bears will go under the hammer tonight at a special fundraising auction for the Maitland Cancer Appeal. Magicians, sailors, academics and opera singers all make an appearance, some dressed for the autumn chill, others for a night out. There are also some old favourites. At 92 years of age, Clifford looks pretty sprightly. He's one of collector David Warland's cherished pieces. So too is Brompton, a 1906 stave bear. With his rare colouring and good condition, he's a collector's dream. Organisers Sue and Trevor Coates say those with a lower budget shouldn't be discouraged. Teddy regalia such as watches, picture frames and hairbrushes can be picked up for a song. Sarah Griffiths, NBN News.
Just hours after going under the knife, Andrew Johns was already on the way to recovery. The 21-year-old was diagnosed with appendicitis at training yesterday evening and was operated on 3 hours later.
Thankfully I got it done because probably if I played with it, it would have been a very good chance I would have ruptured it and that probably could have been the season over.
Ironically, it was on the same weekend last year that brother Matthew sustained an injury that kept him out of the city-country clash. This time, Andrew, a certainty following the injury to Ricky Stewart, could also miss the encounter set down for May the 3rd.
There's nothing better playing for, especially country New South Wales and Australia. So, it's up to me now, but hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be back for the rep games. I've got to play well enough to be picked first.
But the man they call Joey has a habit of bouncing back quickly and is likely to even take his boots to marathon tomorrow.
If I get out tomorrow, you never know, I might take the boots over in the mouth guard and see if we can get on and have a run.
NBL debutant Scott McGregor showed no signs of nerves as the Falcons and the Supercats traded early blows. Butch Hayes gave Newcastle a 1-point lead at the end of the opening term, the captain's first half haul of 16 giving the visitors an 11-point buffer at the end of the second quarter. The Supercats came at the Falcons again in the third, at times in spectacular fashion. Geelong regained the lead with 6 minutes left on the clock, and with just 60 seconds remaining it was 80 all. But with import David Van Dyke's coolness at the line and Scott Ninnis likewise on the break, the Falcons were too strong down the stretch. Ninnis sharing the MVP spoils in his first outing for Newcastle with Geelong's Ray O's.
Sirens blared as fire crews descended on Wyong to tackle scores of deliberately lit fires in a vacant lot near the Westfield Supercentre. But the flames weren't the real enemy. It was a case of fireys fighting the rust that sets in when skills aren't exercised. Firefighters from about 20 local and visiting brigades ran, yelled and hosed their way through 6 different emergency scenarios. Putting out a small hay fire may sound like a simple task, but coaxing temperamental canvas hoses into action can be a trying experience. While the flames were the main target of the day, human casualties were another consideration. After a makeup artist created some very unattractive wounds and splashed about some tomato sauce, it was time for crews to test out their first aid skills. An enjoyable challenge for the volunteers, today's competition is likely to prove its real worth later in the year as the return of the bushfire season really puts their skills to the test. Laura Saperstein, NBN News.
A crowd of 19,000 gave ARL chairman Ken Arthurson a rousing reception. He then returned the compliment.
I've got a special place in my heart for areas like Newcastle that stuck by the game when it was most needed.
What the Knights needed most was an authoritative start on the field, but an early 2-point advantage was erased as the Tigers' fingertip control rewarded lock Glenn Morrison. The tactics became clear as the Tigers continued their air raid with great effect. Shocked 12-2 leaders, the Tigers got their own back right on half-time. A rare Tim Brasher mistake reducing the margin to 4. Newcastle never looked at ease in the second half. Heron snaring the intercept to put the game beyond the home side, while Ellery Hanley's 4-pointer sent Tiger loyalists into overdrive. Adam Muir crossed in the dying stages, but to no avail. A replay tonight from 11:20. A field of 9 took to the 100 nautical mile course, which involved 5 circuits from Newcastle Harbour south to Redhead and back. The Pink Beast, owned by hairdressing mogul Stefan, was one of the early favourites and casualties. It hit a shipping container off the coast while travelling at more than 100 kilometres an hour, causing extensive damage. The attrition rate was high, allowing Queensland entrant Riviera to take an easy victory, completing the course in 1 hour and 25 minutes. Mercury Racing was second and Input third.
The women rode into Newcastle just after 11 this morning on stage 2 of their 8-week journey. They received a warm welcome from the Hunter Area Health Service, taking time out for some group photos. Most of the women are aged between 50 and 60, and many are learning to ride a bike for the first time. For some, the ride is a good opportunity to encourage greater awareness of breast cancer and share their story with others.
For the sheer adventure of it, to begin with, and also to spread the message about breast cancer.
I saw it in the Blue Mountains Gazette about 6 months ago, and I'd never been on a bike. But my family gave me enormous support, helped me choose which bike to ride, the lowest one to the ground, and it's been pretty hard work, but I'm here.
For others, it was more of a personal journey.
My sister-in-law died from breast cancer at the age of 44 2 years ago this month, so it's kind of like a bit of a memorial thing.
The title of the project is Following the Fence Line. The women are heading north to Queensland, then back down the west coast, eventually finishing in the ACT. Emma Ossian, NBN News.
The body of 33-year-old Graham Robertshaw was found Saturday morning in bush near Barnsley, southwest of Newcastle. Mr Robertshaw was last seen Wednesday night drinking at a Newcastle hotel. 2 days later, police charged 23-year-old Stephen Dennis with stealing his car, watch and wallet. Today, Dennis appeared in Wallsend Court, further charged with the manslaughter of Graham Robertshaw, disposing of his body and robbery. Also in court, 49-year-old Jan Wilton and 29-year-old Mark O'Hanlon. They're charged with concealing a serious offence and being accessories before the fact. The court heard that the three had conspired at the Turalba Caravan Park to drug a man at a Newcastle hotel, rob him and then break into his house. While O'Hanlon and Wilton waited in the car outside the Empire Hotel, Dennis allegedly used Rivotril and anticonvulsant to drug the drinks of Graham Robertshaw. The court heard Dennis abandoned the robbery plan when he discovered Mr Robertshaw's mother was at his Katara house.
When Stephen Dennis arrived at the Taralba Caravan Park early Thursday morning, he allegedly told O'Hanlon and Wilton that he believed Graham Robert Shaw was dead. He said he'd been frothing and bleeding from the mouth, and he apparently told them he was going to dispose of the body. In objecting to bail, Police Prosecutor Sergeant Murray Alder asked that the magistrate have regard to the despicable and evil motives of the conspiracy. Magistrate Jeff Brown set bail for O'Hanlon and Wilton at $5,000. Dennis was remanded in custody. Jodie McKay, NBN News.
For master painter Daniel Smith, it's a labour of love, hand-painting figurines for Royal Dalton's collection of prestige figures. Working wet clay into a fine art piece valued by collectors all over the world takes commitment, a 10-year apprenticeship.
I've been at it 28 years sort of thing, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week for 28 years. That's how you get good at the job.
Stephanie is Royal Dalton's latest creation. Today, Mr. Smith took admirers through the painstaking process of bringing her to life.
When we open the mould up, we take out the piece that we've actually cast in the mould.
On a per capita basis, Australians now rank as one of the largest collectors of Royal Dalton in the world. Their appeal?
The collectability and also the traceability of Royal Dalton. Basically every figure that we produce will have its own initial back stamp onto it with its own name and number.
For Mr. Martin, meeting those who treasure his work is an added bonus.
I enjoy this actually. I enjoy meeting the people, the actual collectors that collect the figures. That's what gives me a lot of pleasure.
Sarah Griffiths, NBN News. The exhibition at Charlestown Square features works by contemporary and traditional artists, such as Clifford Possum and Emily Nawari. Collected from communities around Alice Springs and Arnhem Land, they reflect 40,000 years of Aboriginal art history. Roger Shannon Uluru is one of many artists attending the exhibition. For him, painting is a way of bringing two cultures together.
To me, it's where Aboriginal artists can do their dreaming on canvas. And when a person buys it, it is the way of sharing.
This afternoon, he began work on honey ants dreaming. Using dot painting from the Western Desert region, it will take around 50 hours to complete. Ranging in price from $35,000 to $35,000, the pieces will be on display until Sunday. Sarah Griffiths, NBN News.
The celebrations continued last night at the Wildfires launch after their historic win against Sydney Uni in the pre-season Hahn Plate Grand Final. But there was one problem which can only be rectified with a cup win.
The only downside, as one of the players said, was that it's a bit difficult to drink out of a plate.
The Wildfires now have a firm footing in the community, with major sponsor Manchester Unity again on board to take them into rugby's new age of professionalism.
The support of the public was great, and we would hope that would improve. And naturally, for that to happen, we've got to be more successful, and that's what we aim to do.
Newcastle has a tough opening to the competition with 2 away games against Warringah and West Harbour. But there was some encouraging news last night, a key player avoiding suspension.
Marty Lasur, who was sent off with about 8 minutes to go yesterday, has been exonerated tonight at the judiciary.
Newcastle's first home game is against Canberra on May 4.
A team of experts is moving in, fine-tuning the search for coal.
The area has a lot of potential and it does contain a significant coal resource.
A 250 square kilometre study is underway under Tuggerah Lake and land west of the F3 freeway to the Mandalong and Yarramalong valleys. Using special equipment, the team will measure changes in the Earth's magnetic field. The chopper will fly 7 hours a day over 8 days. They're looking for volcanic activity, basically telling them not to mine there.
These are basically volcanic rocks which have come up through the Earth's crust, and in the process they've destroyed the coal seams.
1,100 residents have been letter dropped over the exploration work. The mining, if economical, would be underground. And while property owners have shown some concern, any work is at least 5 years off. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
Inspecting the course four-wheel drive style at Lochinvar this morning, riders were making sure all is in order for the next few days of competition. It's perhaps the most prestigious affair on any equestrian's calendar. Selectors are now making up the team that will represent Australia at this year's Atlanta Olympic Games. In the three-star class events, local Heath Ryan will be vying for a place, along with 34 other elite riders who know it's their last official chance to make a good impression. Junior dressage will feature in tomorrow's program. On Saturday, events include the steeplechase and cross-country for all classes, with the show jumping trials scheduled for Sunday.
The roads in and out of Foster on the mid-north coast are under siege, with triathletes preparing for battle. They'll be swimming 3.8 kilometres, cycling 180 kilometres and running a marathon of just over 42 Ks in the Ironman Australian Triathlon.
People think it's painful, but it's not, because when you're so fit, you really enjoy what you're doing and you don't feel the pain.
1,000 athletes will take part this year, competing not just for the glory here, but also to grab a chance at the world's most famous triathlon. There are only 5 qualifying events in the world for the Hawaiian Ironman. Here at Foster, 70 athletes will get through to compete in Hawaii in October. World Triathlon champion Paula Newby-Fraser must have nightmares about last year's Hawaiian race. With just a kilometre to go, she collapsed, lost 20 minutes and, showing incredible courage, walked across the line for 4th.
I didn't take in enough fuel and enough fluid, and I just, I really pushed myself to the edge, and passed.
Newby-Fraser has put that behind her. She'll be tough to beat on Sunday. Germany's Jürgen Zach is a favourite in the men's. His tip, the race should run around 8 hours and 20 minutes. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
It may have been a business breakfast, but the Chamber of Commerce fears that it could well become the last supper if a CBD task force isn't appointed. It's part of an ongoing feud between the Chamber and the Council, which peaked with the call for an administrator to replace the Lord Mayor.
Lord Mayor announced that he would be having a CBD task force put together. Unfortunately, we're still waiting for that to take place. So that is grave disappointment to us because the announcement was made as a political statement, and unfortunately the politics are still there and the thing still hasn't come together.
NBN was unable to contact the Lord Mayor today, but the Chamber admits it needs more than a CBD task force to survive what is expected to be a tough 6 months.
They include the defence contracts, they include the development processes taking place at Honeysuckle. We're still pushing for this light rail concept that we believe would be of benefit and open up the foreshore to the CBD. They may be long-term and long-range sort of things, but we think that we've got to give people hope that there's going to be some revitalisation taking place.
Richard O'Leary, NBN News.
Or stock market in general, please do not hesitate to call.
The people of Singleton also turned out, the march winding its way from John Street around into the town centre.
The local community today remembers the sacrifice made by its men and women in days gone by. But the presence of the Infantry Training Centre here at Singleton is a constant reminder that for some, the call to arms is still a very real part of everyday life.
For the young men of Long Tan Platoon, Anzac Day became, appropriately enough, their graduation march out, marking the end of 8 months of training.
What do you think when you see those guys come through on Anzac Day?
Very proud that they're keeping the tradition going, and yeah, very proud indeed.
But do you worry about those boys?
Nope, they don't look like they need to be worried about. They look like they can look after themselves.
At Burdekin Park, Army Camp CEO Colonel Rod Margetts reinforced the Anzac message. As solemn a remembrance as ever, Anzac Day proved a day of special pride for Australia's newest diggers.
Love the Army and love Anzac Day. It's really good.
We have a lot to uphold and a lot of respect to give to the older diggers from past previous wars. But holding the torch, of course, that's what we're here for.